Welcome to Bibbidi Bobbidi News. I'm your host, Rob Wight, and we're doing 5 for 5 today. That's right, 5 things that I liked and 5 things I didn't like about Incredibles 2. Number 1, Brad Bird knew what he was doing after 14 years of waiting for this movie to come out. He killed it. The opening of the scene is awesome. We get to see all of our characters do everything that they've done from the first one, as in the fact of we see everybody's powers. We see Dash, we see Mr. Incredible, we see Mrs. Incredible, Violet, and Frozone do their thing in the first part of the film. It was a great opener. Number 2, Jack. Jack shows his powers finally. We saw a little bit in a teaser trailer, and when you see this film, Jack is going to blow your mind. Jack steals the show. There's this scene where he's learning his powers, and a raccoon is outside while he's watching TV with his dad while Mr. Incredible basically falls asleep. And Jack has this entire scene of him fighting a raccoon, and the entire scene of the raccoon, we see Jack's entire powers come out. In my opinion, Jack steals the show. There's also another scene with Jack, but that's in the next one, which works out because we're going on to my favorite, Edna Mould. Okay, Edna Mould. Bringing it back to last time, Edna Mould was the comic humor in it that was dry but pungent but funny, and we got exactly what we wanted again with Edna Mould. Mr. Incredible brings Jack to Edna to babysit. And Edna kind of resists a little bit, but because Jack is Jack turns into Edna Mould, and she falls in love with him. And we love this. I love this. You're going to love this because he shows his powers again, and Edna Mould just falls in love with him, and it is just moments of comedy that are priceless. One of my favorite things about this movie was the Incredible vehicle. Mr. Incredible is told that it was destroyed, but after watching some TV and becoming Mr. Mom, he ended up seeing that it was on a TV and bought by a buyer because supers were back in action and it was a hot thing. So this really rich guy ended up buying his car, fixing it up, and his son Dash saw it on television too. And at the same time, Mr. Incredible wanted to get his car back, so he ended up having this remote control, probably for nostalgic purposes, and hilarity ensues. We see missiles, we see ejector seats, and we see the car turn into a boat. How cool is that? Some of my favorite scenes in this film were when Mr. Incredible had to take care of the kids, while Mrs. Incredible was out fighting crime so that superheroes could be legal again. Between Dash learning math with his dad, Violet's boy issues, and Jack trying to fall asleep, hilarity ensues. Some of the best quality scenes are in this section of the film. Dash and Mr. Incredible have some issues with math. Math becomes, they changed math for the first time. Violet has her guy she likes mind erased, and Mr. Incredible tries to fix that by taking Violet and the boys to go to Violet's boys' interests workplace, where she ends up blowing stuff out of her nose, and that scene's probably one of my favorites. Plus, Jack obviously getting his powers and fighting the raccoon while Mr. Incredible is asleep is probably some of the best scenes in the entire film, where Mr. Incredible finally realizes that, hey, he can have superpowers at being a dad, not just being an Incredible. Okay, first thing I didn't like about this movie was it took 14 years to make. 14 years The Incredibles took to make. I know this isn't really a big thing about this film, but to be honest, this is my biggest tiff. This is a good film, but Disney has made other films that are equally as good, if not better. I like this film a lot, but it took 14 years to make The Incredibles. The Incredibles made really good money the first time it came out. And this one coming out 14 years later, Brad Bird might have wanted a really good script, but 14 years, you made people wait a long time, but 14 years, well-deserved, and I just didn't like it was 14 years. Number 2, thing I didn't like about The Incredibles 2 was that the villain was very telecasted. We were trying to figure out who the main villain is throughout the entire film, and the first portion of the film, we see the brother and the sister who are basically funding the Incredibles to be able to become supers again, because they are big Incredibles super fanatics and they love to see superheroes. Their dad was a super fanatic, but they have disagreements about security and Incredibles being able to save their dad in the first part of the film, and it's very, very like back and forth with them. The opening scene where we meet the girl character, she's fumbling around and she just doesn't seem like she's all there. And it was telegraphed really, really poorly, in my opinion. So yeah, the villain was telegraphed. Again, this is kind of one of those things to where this certain film it's kind of a detective film too at the same time. We're trying to figure out who the bad guy is, and it kind of came out quicker than what it was supposed to. Number 3, the thing I also didn't like about this film was that we did not get to see Frozone's wife. One of the most hilarious scenes in the first one was, "Honey, where's my super suit?" And we got a little bit of a taste of that with again another voiceover with Frozone's wife. But I kind of want to see Frozone's wife. What does she look like? What does she do? Does she have superpowers? Does she not have superpowers? She's kind of like the Alfred for Frozone. What does she do? 14 years later, Brad Bird, you still did not give us Frozone's wife. I want to see Frozone's wife. I think she would just be hilarious. I mean, obviously, why would Frozone just go out by himself? I mean, I get it, maybe, but like, wouldn't Helen maybe know Frozone's wife? I don't know. Would Bob maybe know Frozone's wife? Maybe would Edna Mould maybe know Frozone's wife? Somebody has to know Frozone's wife without just, "Honey, where's my super suit?" Number 4 thing I did not like about Incredibles 2 was the Underminer. The Underminer was a really cool character, but we never see him again. Why don't we see the Underminer again? He took the entire scene of the first film and just destroyed this whole city with this big drill. He got away. Number 5, Violet's love interest. The boy who she likes and gets his mind erased. Now, this is there are funny scenes to this storyline that's going on in the film, but if it was completely taken out of the film, it would be fine. Some of the scenes are just Violet going up and talking to the boy and being completely embarrassed for far too long. Some of them are needed, as in the fact of going, "Hey, I just realized that you don't know who I am, but I still have a crush on you. What happened? Oh, now I realize that my dad completely, erased your mind." Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the 5 things I liked and the 5 things I didn't like about Incredibles 2. I'm your host of Bibbidi Bobbidi News, Rob Wight. You can find me at robwight.com or at DJWYGHT on Instagram.